King Brihadratha of Magadha was married to the twin daughters of the king of Kashi. Brihadratha loved both his wives equally and had all the possible material joys, but he had no children, and this made him very depressed. One day, when the sage Chandakaushika visited his kingdom, Brihadratha served him with immense respect. This greatly pleased the sage, who granted Brihadratha a boon. Brihadratha asked the sage for a son, and the sage gave him a mango, which Brihadratha was to give to one of his wives. Now, Brihadratha loved both his wives equally. So he cut the mango in 2 equal halves and fed it to both of them. Nine months later, both his wives gave birth to a child, or rather, half a child each. Seeing this, the queen's attendants were horrified and decided that they must dispose of the 2 halves, and so they discarded them outside the kingdom. Outside the kingdom, there lived a demoness named Jara. When she saw 2 halves of a child, she said to herself,
"I will have a good feast today."
She decided to take them home to eat them. She placed them both in a basket, side by side. Suddenly, the 2 halves miraculously joined up, making one complete human child.
What a surprise this is! He is such a beautiful child. Surely he must be King Brihadratha's son. Let me hand him over to the king, and maybe I will receive a reward from him. Greetings, King Brihadratha. I have brought your beautiful child back to you.
King Brihadratha was overjoyed to see his child.
Jara, I cannot thank you enough for what you have done. My child will be called Jarasandha in your honor, as it is due to you that he has life.
Thank you, my lord, for this great honor. I would like to bestow my blessings on your son as well. He will be a powerful warrior and will have the valor of a Rakshasa. None will be able to defeat him. May he live a long life.
Jarasandha grew up to become a very powerful king. He had 2 daughters who he gave in marriage to Kamsa of Mathura. Krishna killed Kamsa, making Jarasandha his enemy. Jarasandha attacked Mathura 17 times. Krishna destroyed his army, sparing only Jarasandha. Krishna had 5 cousins, the Pandavas, whose kingdom was called Indraprastha. The eldest Pandava, Yudhishthira, wanted to perform the rajasuya yagya. In order to perform the rajasuya yagya, a king had to be declared emperor, and all the surrounding kingdoms had to recognize the emperor as their overlord. For this to happen, Yudhishthira would have to defeat Jarasandha and obtain the title of emperor. Yudhishthira, not knowing how to go about this, asked Krishna for help. Krishna devised a plan whereby Arjuna, the third Pandava, and Bheema, the second Pandava, accompanied by Krishna, would dress up like Brahmins and go to Magadha and challenge Jarasandha to a duel. When Lord Krishna reached Magadha, he stood in his chariot and blew his conch shell. Hearing this, the enemy soldiers began to tremble with fear.
O Krishna, lowest of men, I do not wish to fight with you. You have murdered your own relatives. You hide your own identity. It would be shameful for me to fight a mere boy.
Real heroes do not simply boast, but rather show their prowess in action. I cannot take your words seriously. You are obviously anxious and afraid of dying.
King Jarasandha, we have come here to challenge you to a duel. You don't look like Brahmins. You look like Kshatriyas. Tell me the truth. Who are you?
Jarasandha, he is Arjuna, the third of the Pandava kings, and he is Bheema, the second. If you are really brave, face them. You will have to pick one of them to fight against, or else you will have to fight with me.
Who do you think you are? I'm a mighty warrior and an emperor. Krishna, you're nothing but a mere cowherd.
Jarasandha, if you're really a mighty warrior, then be prepared to face my arrows. Fight me, then speak of valor.
Arjuna, you're nothing but a small boy. I cannot fight against people who are not even worthy to stand in front of me. Jarasandha, this is the limit. You are obviously afraid to face us. Otherwise, why would you want to run away? Bheema, it is time for me to put an end to your life.
The two heroes thus began battling against each other outside the city. Maddened with fury, they struck each other with their lightning bolt-like clubs. As they skillfully circled left and right like actors dancing on a stage, the fight presented a magnificent spectacle. When Jarasandha's and Bheema's clubs collided, the deafening sound was like that of a clash of the tusks of two elephants attacking each other. They swung their clubs at each other with such speed and force that their shoulders, hips, feet, hands, thighs and collarbones were crushed and broken. Their clubs thus ruined, they began angrily pummeling each other with their iron-hard fists. The sounds of their heavy blows echoed like thunderclaps. Bheema and Jarasandha fought for days, both equally matched, and yet neither succumbed to the other's blows. When Bheema realized that Jarasandha was an equal match, he looked to Krishna for help. Krishna, who knew the story of Jarasandha's birth, picked up a twig from the floor, broke it in two halves, and threw the two halves far away from each other. Then Bheema knew what to do. He threw Jarasandha to the ground, held his legs, and split his body in two. He then threw the two halves of Jarasandha far away from each other, so that they would not be able to join back together. But the two halves miraculously joined together, making Jarasandha regain his original form. Once again Bheema looked to Krishna for help. Krishna then took a twig and tore it into two halves, and threw the two pieces in two different directions, this time placing one piece upside down. Immediately Bheema understood what he had to do. Bheema pressed down one leg with his foot and grabbed Jarasandha's other leg in his hands and tore Jarasandha apart from the leg upward. Jarasandha was split in two, right down the middle, each part with a single leg, thigh, hip, shoulder, arm, eye, eyebrow and ear, and with half a back and chest. and with the other half upside down. Now, the two halves were not able to join. Thus, Bheema defeated Jarasandha and killed him. Krishna crowned Jarasandha's son as the king of Magadha. In return, Jarasandha's son agreed to support the Pandavas.
Birbal, I don't know how people put up with this winter. They get used to it. What